The auditorium was buzzing with nervous excitement, the kind of energy that only comes when dreams hang in the balance. It was a crisp evening in Los Angeles, the stage lights gleaming like distant stars, casting golden beams across velvet curtains. Backstage, contestants whispered to themselves, rehearsed last-minute lines, or shook trembling hands in prayer. Among them stood a boy, thin, pale, and dressed in a second-hand shirt that was a size too big. His name was Daniel Reyes, and though he looked ordinary, there was something in his eyes, an ocean of untold stories, sorrow, and hope, that set him apart. Daniel wasn't like the other contestants. While many arrived in luxury cars with entourages of family and friends, he had taken 2 buses and walked the last 2 miles to the theater. His guitar case was scratched and duct-taped, the strings frayed from years of playing on street corners for spare change. For Daniel, music wasn't just a dream, it was survival. His mother, a nurse who worked double shifts, had sacrificed everything to keep their small apartment after his father's sudden passing 2 years earlier. His younger sister, Emma, depended on him too, especially when the world felt heavy with loss. The host's voice boomed from the stage, "Next up, we have 16-year-old Daniel Reyes." The crowd applauded politely, not expecting much. A boy this young, with no polished image, no famous vocal coach, and a borrowed guitar, didn't exactly scream star. But Daniel walked forward quietly, gripping his guitar like a lifeline. His heart pounded in his chest as he looked out at the sea of faces, some curious, some skeptical, some distracted. One of the judges, a well-known producer with a sharp tongue, leaned back in his chair and whispered to another, "This one looks nervous. Don't expect fireworks." Daniel adjusted the microphone, took a shaky breath, and then strummed the opening chords of Hotel California. The audience shifted. A few eyebrows lifted. It wasn't a song typically chosen by kids his age. But Daniel wasn't just singing, he was pouring himself into every note. His voice carried a rawness, cracked at times with emotion, yet strong enough to reach the farthest balcony. As the haunting melody filled the room, something changed. People stopped whispering, stopped shifting in their seats. Even the skeptical judge leaned forward, his fingers tightening around his pen. Daniel's voice wasn't polished or trained in elite studios, but it carried truth. Every lyric felt like a window into his soul, his pain, his longing, his hope. And then, halfway through the song, the unexpected happened. Daniel faltered. His hand froze on the strings, and for a terrifying second, silence filled the theater. The audience gasped. A forgotten lyric? Stage fright? The host began to step forward, ready to usher him off politely. But Daniel lifted his eyes to the crowd, and something inside him broke open. He whispered, his voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I almost couldn't go on. This song, it was my dad's favorite. He used to play it every weekend before he passed away. I wasn't sure I could sing it without him." The audience froze. The judges exchanged glances. No one had expected such honesty. Daniel closed his eyes, and instead of retreating, he began again. His voice wavered at first, but then grew stronger, filled with a pain so pure it silenced the room. By the final chorus, he was no longer just performing, he was reliving memories, singing not just for the crowd, but for his father, for his mother, for his little sister watching from the balcony with tears streaming down her cheeks. When the last chord faded, the theater was utterly still. And then, like a wave crashing, applause erupted. People leapt to their feet. Some wiped their eyes. The judges, seasoned professionals who had heard thousands of performances, sat speechless. One judge, known for never showing emotion, dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Another whispered, "I haven't felt like this in years." But the most powerful moment came when the sharp-tongued producer, the one who had doubted him, stood up slowly, his hands trembling. He leaned into the microphone and said, "Daniel, you didn't just sing that song, you lived it. You reminded us why music matters. It's not about perfection. It's about truth. And tonight, you gave us that truth. Thank you." The crowd roared again, but Daniel didn't bask in the glory. Instead, he looked up to the balcony, locking eyes with his sister. He pointed at her, his way of saying, "This was for you. For us. For Dad." Backstage, as cameras swarmed, one of the producers approached Daniel with an offer, a mentorship, a scholarship, and a chance to record professionally. But Daniel shook his head at first. "If I do this," he said softly, "I want to make sure part of it goes to my mom. She's the real hero. She kept us going when everything fell apart. She deserves this more than I do." That simple act of selflessness made the producer pause. In an industry obsessed with fame and ego, here was a boy who thought not of himself, but of family. Word of his story spread quickly, touching hearts across America and beyond. Social media lit up with clips of his performance, fans writing things like, "I haven't cried like this in years, and this boy reminded me of my own dad." A week later, Daniel's performance was replayed on national television. Millions watched, and many felt something they hadn't in a long time: hope. Hope that music could heal. Hope that authenticity still had a place in the world. Hope that even a boy from humble beginnings could shake the hearts of those who seemed unshakable. Months down the road, Daniel stood on an even bigger stage, this time with his mom and sister in the front row. He had gained fans, opportunities, and recognition, but what mattered most was something no contract could buy. He had healed a part of himself, and in doing so, he had healed others too. In his closing speech during the finale, he said, "Music saved me when I thought nothing else could. It gave me a way to carry my dad's memory forward, to help my mom, to give my sister hope. Tonight, if you take anything with you, let it be this: you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest. That's enough. And sometimes, honesty is what changes the world." The crowd rose again, not just applauding a performance, but celebrating a spirit that had touched them deeply. Daniel Reyes, once just a quiet boy with a battered guitar, had given them all a gift far greater than music. He had given them truth, compassion, and the reminder that in a world full of noise, the most powerful sound is the human heart. And so, the boy who sang Hotel California left the judges shaking, not from fear or doubt, but from awe. Because sometimes, the smallest voices carry the biggest truths. And sometimes, a song isn't just a song. It's a bridge between pain and healing, between loss and love, between who we are and who we hope to be.